Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ. I hope you all enjoyed that rant video. That was, well, it was something. So it's time for a debate video. This time we debate between G1 and G2. So, we know who's going to be the obvious winner. So, let's start. First I need some tea. So, G1 started in, Bionicle G1, started in 2000 over in Europe and 2001 over here. So, and it lasted for 10 years. But it was in production, well, a couple years before that, so. It was in production. It was fully planned to have a 20-year run. And while that seems kind of ambitious, it was destined to only last about half of that. So we only got, like, there were 7 story arcs that were meant to happen, I think. And we only got, like, 3.5, it seems. So, maybe 4, I don't know. So what would have the other story arcs have been once the whole Mask of Life story arc was 100% finished? Like, I don't know. Bionicle G1 had an ambitious story. It was a long, drawn-out, fantastic story. You can't compare it. You can't consciously compare it to anything else. It is one of a kind. It really is. Best story of all time in terms of original IPs for LEGO. And it brought them a lot of success, a lot of money, and a lot of ideas for the future. So when they canceled G1 because of sagging sales of the actual toys, I think the fans kind of sabotaged it at that point, because what was Barra Magno? Who were the Glotoria? What were these people? We didn't know these characters. So I think some fans were sabotaging Bionicle 2009 by, well, just not buying some of the sets. You only bought like 1 or 2, so why should you buy the rest of them? And this was sad, in my opinion. So, call it a conspiracy theory. I call it just, you know, an idea, and one that's probably true, but also probably meh. So, when G1 ended in 2010, like, with the Stars being released in January, yeah, obviously, you know, the story will still be worked on by Greg Farsty because of the online serials. They were unfinished. Cliffhangers of abundance of cliffhangers. And the story remained unfinished. But the main story arc of Matanui versus Makuta, it was done. The main story arc was basically done at that point, despite having a 20-year run. Or that, what would have been a 20-year run. Some people say that Bionicle G1 was starting to get old and it needed to be replaced with something new, and thus shat out Hero Factory. Well, that's a whole nother debate. We'll get into that another time. So, Bionicle G1 was cancelled. In 2015, at the start of 2015, we got Bionicle G2, and it only lasted for 2 years out of a planned 3. And this time LEGO sabotaged it. The story wasn't that great. The marketing was piss poor, in my opinion. And in fact, they expected us, the fans, to market it this theme for the new generation. The thing is, LEGO themselves sabotaged it by slashing the budget by about half and pouring those funds over into the Star Wars CCBS sets of 2015 and up until 2018. And this, I believe, 100% is true. And if you think I'm wrong, well, fuck you too. But seriously, this happened, and yeah, it was, wow. What the fuck, Lego? Why would you do that? That's just... You're sabotaging your own IP, an original IP, by taking half of the budget and pouring it over to a licensed theme. I'm wise to your ways, Lego. Don't you forget that. So, this was just a massive blow. And it really hurt sales, and it really hurt the whole concept of G2's existence. G2 didn't have that great of a story. It was simplistic, it was dulled down, it was boring. It was worse than Hero Factory's story. We'll get into that in another debate video here later. But overall, G2 couldn't hold a candle to G1. 100%, it couldn't. Now, some people, I guess, grew up with G2, and, well, more power to you. But it was never going to top G1. Well, while I have all of the sets, except for some of the exclusive stuff, I only got the main polybag from 2015. And the 2 little foil packs. G1 had more of an array of stuff. The multimedia was just absolutely fantastic. There were cameras, there were books, there were trading cards, comics, video games, web animations, movies, notebooks, book bags, so much stuff. Graphic novels even. Which were just compiling comic books, obviously. The sets themselves, websites, stuff, podcasts, online serials. There was so much to digest with Bionicle G1, and LEGO went all out in terms of delivering the best that they could with G1. They even had a planned trilogy for, well, The Legend Reborn and then 2 movies afterwards. But what I think happened is that they had a deal with, well, some animation studio, and so they, in order to fulfill that 3 DVD deal, once Bionicle G1 was canceled and we got Legend Reborn, the next 2 DVDs were actually Rise of the Rookies and Savage Planet / Ordeal of Fire, Hero Factory. So that was fulfilled, but we still didn't get Breakout and Brain Attack on DVD until we got a bootleg version. I didn't get it. Anyway, G2 only had a few different things. You had the sets, you had posters. Obviously G1 had some posters too, and all sorts of fun little extra bits and bobs. G2 had posters, G2 had exclusives, G2 had a couple of graphic novels, 3 books, chapter books, an activity book, some comics, very few, mostly back of the box art stuff, and some European stuff as well. There was a French comic, I think. Magazine content, obviously, G1 had that too. Polybags, foil packs, web animations, a Netflix show. That's something G1 didn't have, was a TV show, but they had the movies, so there was no need for a TV show. Combiner models, again, that's part of the sets, but it seemed like G2 had far less, very far less, than G1 had to offer. G1 was just the pinnacle of LEGO construction goodness, and it delivered on all fronts. It had a compelling, long-ass story that was just full of different bends and breaks and twists and turns, and it was just so much fun. G2's story, well, it was less fun. It was boring, it was dulled down, it was simple, it was lame, it was kind of, well, it was not successful. Yeah, it was not successful. it was never going to, like, we couldn't see our favorite characters in the same way as we did back in 2001. We couldn't see the Toa Mata, now the Toa Masters. We couldn't see these characters the same way we did back in 2001, and it's like, this is weird. How has this happened? Well, I think it's because the 6 Toa from 2015 were meant to be, well, they were still the same Toa, but I like to think of this as like a parallel universe type of thing, where G1 is the main universe type of thing, is the universe we all know, to where G2 is the opposite. It's a universe we've never been to. It tries to be familiar, but it also is completely different. And I'm pretty sure some of you can probably appreciate this idea, parallel universe. And we did get the Mask of Creation, so that spawned folks to make their own Mask of Creation for G1. Canonization contests, I already talked about that, so go watch that. The multimedia for G2 was pretty disappointing, let's be honest. There was very little in the way of content. There was designer videos, there were commercials. G1 had commercials. I'm not sure about designer videos, but there was so much more in G1 than G2, and it was like, what are you giving us that we haven't seen before? We've seen comics, we've seen graphic novels, we've seen books, we've seen an activity book. I still have my old copy of the Bionicle activity book. We've seen, web animations. We've seen the movies. We've seen a lot of stuff. You're giving us basically the same things, but in an alternate universe kind of thing. It's confusing. These characters for G2 just didn't meet the mark, obviously. They didn't resonate with enough people, and they didn't really capture as much attention from the younglings, the kids, back in 2015. So LEGO steered them away from Bionicle G2. It was strategic on their part, to the Star Wars stuff. And yeah. So that was... LEGO, you bastards. You totally screwed yourselves. You shot yourselves in the foot with G2. You really did. I still like the sets from G2. I think the sets are fantastic for the most part. There are some that are kind of but I've grown to accept Lord of Skull Spiders, Qatar, and Skull Scorpio as decent sets for the most part. The gimmicks are there, and it's okay. But as a whole, G2 is way more inferior than G1. G1 was basically an experiment. They were experimenting to high hell with G1, and it showed in spades. LEGO was doing a lot of great things with G1. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of bad things they did with G1. For example, there was a 10th and 11th graphic novel that were going to happen, as well as a second and third movie as part of a trilogy. None of those happened. We got the cover art for graphic novel number 10. There was also Bionicle the Album, which I compiled my own Bionicle the Album. That's on Google Drive. So there was a lot of things that we missed out on with G1. Things that Legos had to say no to, obviously, for obvious reasons, I guess. But to where with G2, it felt like they were just throwing shit at the wall and see what stuck. They were planning for third year, maybe. I don't think it was going to get a third year, actually. Let's be honest, they sabotaged G2 so much that they only were able to give us 2 years, and 2 years was going to be the main limit for this theme, and that is fucking sad. It's ridiculous, it's stupid, and again, LEGO shot themselves in the foot with G2. Again, I liked the sets. Golly Master is my favorite of the Master sets. Same thing with the Golly Uniter. And the Protector of Water is my favorite Protector. Akita is my favorite elemental creature. Umrak the Destroyer is fucking awesome. He gets his own shelf up there. With a couple of canisters from Rakshi. But, yeah, it just felt like G2 was vastly inferior to G1. If you prefer G2 over G1 for whatever reason, I think you might need some help. G1 was seen as classic, and it still is seen as a classic theme from the early 2000s, and some may say even a year before that, but whatever, you know. It started off as Voodoo heads, then Do heads, then Bionicle. So there were prototypes all over the place, and ideas aplenty. And you know, overall, it seems like G1 was untouchable. You can't expect LEGO to bring back Bionicle when they can't really do that. They can't strike the iron hot while it's still hot a second time. You know, it was a flash in the pan sort of idea, you know. They got Bionicle G1, they gave that for us for 10 years, then it was gone afterwards. And anything that came after that was going to be immediately compared to G1, regardless of how different it was. And G2 was different from Bionicle G1. It really was. Hero Factory was different from G1. Obviously. But that's a whole other debate. So G2 was different, yes, while still having the same characters, but there were ideas that were with these characters that they did not translate well, obviously. And overall, it just felt like G2 was just kind of out there in existence for whatever reason. It's like, why give this to the kids when you could easily market this to Bionicle fans? And let's just say some fans, they did not approve of people enjoying this theme, and that is sick. They're mentally sick because of that. I made a video about this. Yeah. They celebrated G2 ending, and that was just insulting. It really was. Fuck you people. I mean, seriously. What is wrong with you? Well, clearly you're mentally ill, so you need some help. Celebrating G2 ending was like celebrating the death of a band. My Chemical Romance was, you know, they disbanded in, I don't know, like 2009 or something like that. I don't remember when they disbanded. But a lot of people were upset and sad. But also some people celebrated, because not a lot of people liked them for some reason. And that's fair, because, yeah. I'm not a music channel anymore, so I can't really speak on this topic. But I can easily make the comparison. So there's that. When Bionicle G2 ended, a minority of folks celebrated the ending of G2, because they didn't believe that G2 should have been bought at all. They were comparing it immediately to Hero Factory, and that's where their arguments lay dead in the water. So my best advice is to just ignore those people. And, well, I'm pretty sure everybody's gotten over it by now, but if you find someone that still hates G2 and celebrates it even now. Yeah, your best bet would be to just tell them to fuck off and just turn away and walk away. Because those people are not worth your time, they're not worth my time, and yeah. So, that was one thing with G1. Nobody celebrated its ending happily. We all felt really pissed off, really sad. I almost wanted to kill myself at that point because G1 ended. Because Lego, I feel like they were taking my favorite toy away from me. Because that's exactly how it was. They took away G1. Then in 2016 they took away G2. So it was like a double dose of Lego slapping me in the face with their dicks. It's like, thanks Lego, fuck you too. But, yeah. So, when it came to the sets, obviously G1 is far better. I mean, you got way more greebling and more fun stuff going on there. Construction has evolved over since Slizers came out. Every passing year, it seems like it was evolving, and it was great. CCBS came out with Hero Factory in the Ordeal of Fire wave of 2011, the first half of 2011, and it's a fun system to work with. There's so much you can do with CCBS that you can't do with regular construction. But that's the thing. You just gotta play around with the parts and figure it out yourself. Don't be closed-minded. Really don't. Accept G2 for what it was as opposed to what it is. It was a theme that really had not much potential to it at all, but G1 had the most potential, and if a G3 does come out next year, or in some capacity, with a gift with purchase next year, then chances are it's going to be another nod to G1 as opposed to G2, because Lego, I think, were just trying to brush that over under the rug. They were just kind of, brushing off G2 as if it never existed. They probably destroyed all the sets they had left over, and that's a waste of money. Throw those all up on eBay. You know? Someone will buy them and take the parts and use them to build mocks. I mean, seriously. G2 felt like a waste of money for Lego, it seemed, and a waste of time, and clearly they sabotaged it, so it was their fault. It was their fault 100% that G2 was a failure. And if you think otherwise, you're clearly wrong. Fuck off, please. Get out of here. Now, to where with G1, they knocked it out of the park the first year. We got Minogue. We got the sets, the Toa Master, the Toa Uniters. Fuck, the Toa Mata up there. Those are my childhood heroes, and they forever will be. They will forever be on that shelf. I have to take them off to dust them every now and then, but still. We got games. We got Bionicle Attic Media, which is weird as fuck. We got a lot of stuff. We got the Rahi. We got the McDonald's McTorin. We got just... 2001 was just a real grand slam, if you will. It felt like the perfect start for a perfect theme. Well, it's not 100% perfect, but at least they tried, you know? At least they tried to make a perfect original IP, and that's basically what Bionicle was trying to be. But Bionicle G2 was trying to write the coattails of success from G1, and it was not to the liking of a lot of people. It was a failure, and it it was quite a sight to behold to watch this all go down in flames. So, overall, I'd have to say G1 is clearly the winner. G2 is the loser, but there were some aspects of it that were great, including the sets. The sets were probably the best part of G2. Equally, I'd say the sets are the best part of G1. There were some sets that felt like they could be better, but hey, that's everybody's attitude when it comes to the Mystica sets, and maybe even the Fantoka. Because, well, I mean, there were some problems with the Mystica. I liked the Mystica, I liked the Fantoka, I thought they were great. Your argument is invalid. So, what do you think about Bionicle G1 versus Bionicle G2? Which one do you prefer? And if you really do prefer G2 over G1, I mean, I guess you have good taste, maybe, but I mean, you kind of need to really go back to G1 and realize that G2 was never going to hold a candle to Bionicle G1. I mean, there's no way it was going to happen. Take off the rose-tinted glasses and see for yourself the ugliness that that spawned from G2. We got people that were acting as trolls and haters and all those kind of freaks. There was some negativity that came along with G2, especially, you know, especially after it ended, and the subsequent aftermath. Like I said, I wanted to kill myself when G2 ended, but I stayed alive because, well, here I am right now, and I'm in the best possible state of mind as far as I can tell. So, I'm happy as can be. But there you go. G1 is better than G2, 100%. If you disagree, I guess it's personal opinion, but still, fuck you. So the camera's about to die, I gotta charge it, and then I'll be back with one more video for today, so stay tuned for more videos. I am TheZOMBIEJ, I'll see you folks later. Have a good fucking day, and peace.